Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're here for the back pages. Tuesday now. It just seems to change every week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I can't keep up with where it is now. Celtic off the back of a 1-1 draw with Hibs falling even further behind in the league with Rangers. Well, technically we've caught up. We're a point better off than what we were, but it just doesn't help Celtic in any way. Rangers, on the other hand, flying forward with their win over Aberdeen. We're going to see what the back pages are saying to it all. Of course, the conversation is very much Celtic orientated, both because we're on, yes, a Celtic channel, but B, because, well, we're just creating headlines week after week at the minute. So let's get right into the video. Before we do continue with the video, make sure to check out the top line of the description, and you can download the OneFootball app by downloading through the link there. You're helping out both me and the channel sponsor. The OneFootball app will give you everything you need to know in terms of what's happening in the world of Scottish football, from results to goal scorers to live news to stories, articles. Everything you need is in the one place. Fantastic app, and for Celtic fans, of course, we've not got much to view, but it's still there. Top line description, you can download that app. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Right, let's not waste too much time like we did last week. When I done the back pages last week, of course, it was off the back of the Dubai fiasco, and we were talking for quite a bit about that itself before we even got into the paper. So we'll start today with the Daily Record, and there you go, it's right there on the front. Of course, a lot of talk. The fallout from the Dubai trip is massive at the minute. And you know, everybody's got an opinion on it and what it means for both the game and just everything else surrounding the current pandemic-filled world we live in. The Record's headline, the front: football meltdown. 13 Celtic players in Boss Neil Lennon forced to self-isolate after Dubai trip. Exasperated Sturgeon SLAMS. Clubbing claims they are abusing their privilege. And SPFL season on the brink as lower leagues and Scottish Cup is suspended. Of course, the League 1, League 2 and below being suspended for a 3-week period, along with the Scottish Cup ties that included those teams. Only the Championship and Premiership will go on this season for the next 3 weeks, and to be honest, it looks bleak moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the season curtailed in these leagues. I think the Premiership and Championship will be played to a finish, but it's just the way it's going at the minute. There's no real signs of positivity. I just don't really see a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot, and it's a real shame. But of course, the big news is Celtic, as it was put there, abusing the privilege and going to Dubai. Look, I've gave all my opinions on that. I don't really need to add. There's now 2 videos where I've talked about it, or 3 you can say, when I've spoke about it very much in depth. I spoke about it last week in the back pages video. I spoke about it on the Celtic the Thunder with Ryan and Kieran this week in episode 2 of that, and I live streamed yesterday reacting to the news of the players isolating and Neil Lennon isolating. So that's 3 different occasions I've gave my opinion towards it, but it very much, look, Andy Walker was on Sky yesterday, and my God, Celtic fans have been taken aback for a minute because we're actually agreeing with what Andy Walker is saying. And if you haven't seen it, RG, go into Twitter, go into Google and find the clip. Andy Walker talking about the whole situation that Celtic have been through in the last week or two, and he hits the nail right in the head. And it's, as I said, we've been taken aback because we never usually find ourselves agreeing with Andy Walker. Usually he's talking one pile of nonsense, and we like to call him out for that and you know, make our thoughts clear that we're on an opposing side to it. But he hits the nail right on the head with everything he says about it. Look, the tip was a disaster from start to finish. It should never have been planned in the first place, I think, with the world being in. We should have never went through with it, with the way the world is in. And, you know, the fact that we've done it, we've came back, and now we have a positive test, it really is not a good light to shine on the rest of the league and the game. And a very good point that was brought up was the fact that, you know, no other top team in Europe is doing this. You don't see Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid flying out to Dubai and all the rest of it, going all these different training camps. Celtic have decided to go against the grain and go forward with that at the worst time possible, and it's just a shocking decision. So the fact that 13 players are out is probably the price that we had to pay with that. But Andy Walker, once again, I say, knocking it out the park with what he was saying. And I am quite shocked to see on the channel that I'm agreeing with him. So here's the back page before we get on any further. We've got to talk about, letting the paper fall on me. Got to talk about, of course, the Hibs and Celtic game. Gerrard makes a right move. Rangers have declared their interest in signing Aberdeen winger Scott Wright. The Premiership leaders told the Dons after Sunday's Pittodrie clash that they intended to open pre-contract talks with the 23-year-old. Steven Gerrard's side were also keen on KV Oostend striker Fashion Sakala will go forward. So Scott Scott Wright, it's a move I didn't expect him to go with. How, Rangers fans, let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about that move. For me, he's not someone I think who comes in to build on the first team quality that they've got at the minute, but definitely adds to the depth of the squad. Is it another kind of Greg Stewart, Jordan Jones signing, or do you see more potential coming from Scott Wright? Of course, I've not got much of an opinion on it at the minute as a Celtic fan, but certainly a player who has showed talent. I just don't think he's better than what kind of Rangers have at the minute. But of course, 23 years old, a lot of development to go. Donald Trump actually makes it onto the backer. Oh, fantastic. Strachan, our only regret is Chris got the virus. Stand-in boss Gavin Strachan says Celtic's only regret over their ill-fated trip to Dubai was Christopher Jullien catching COVID. It's quite a major regret. And it could have been avoided. But then again, I'll play devil's advocate for a minute and I will talk on the positive side of things. Look, that could have happened anywhere, and I get that point. I was listening to TalkSport yesterday. Yes, TalkSport, I know, shoot me. I was listening to TalkSport on the way up the road. And it was around 1 o'clock and there was a guy on and he was talking and giving his opinion on it all, and he did make a very fair point. It's a point that of course Celtic raised in their statement, but look, this is me playing devil's advocate, this isn't me agreeing with it. That could have happened anywhere. Jullien could have caught the virus in Lennoxtown, he could have caught it in Hamilton, he could have caught it in Motherwell, he could have caught it in Edinburgh, he could have got it anywhere, he could have got it on one of the UEFA trips. Just because it happened to Dubai, you can't really. I can see, where I'm going with it, and I do understand it to an extent. But the whole purpose of the trip and the whole point of taking Jullien, a man who's injured for 4 months too, it just summarises everything that's gone wrong at the club this season in the boardroom, and the decision's been made at the top. We criticised and we judged the fact that the decision was made to keep Neil Lennon as manager until January, and now until the end of the season. We criticised that heavily. But this decision is even more blunderous, you could say. This is even more mind-boggling, the fact that we allowed this to happen. And now, with the consequences we're paying, it just puts it into a bigger picture of what's happening over at Celtic Park. It makes you think, like, what is happening with the guys that are running the club at the minute? They are genuinely killing Celtic Football Club. And I know a lot of Rangers fans will consistently say in the comments, and I've actually been very much surprised over the past week or so. I've had a lot of Rangers fans in the comments coming on and giving the videos good comments and talking about how I'm keeping it level-headed and giving a fair opinion on things and keeping it unbiased and such. And I'll continue to do so. I try my best, and I thank you for those sort of comments. But you get consistently some Rangers fans who comment, they're like, oh, you are going through this for a year, imagine having to be through it for 8 years. And I understand that, of course, Rangers fans went through a hell of a lot worse, you could say, in 8 years, but this is genuinely off the back of what we have seen over the last 3 or 4 years. You have to question what is happening at Celtic. You can't stand idly by and be content with what's happening. You can't sit there and pretend everything's okay. You need to talk about these situations. I can't turn on a camera when, this is becoming close to my full-time job, right? I can't come and sit in a camera and pretend that I'm happy with how the club has been run and watching Desmond Law and everybody else over there murder the football club. Just put it into its grave, in terms of the success we have seen to now. That would just be, I would be phony. I wouldn't be being honest with myself. So, it's just baffling, the decisions that have been made, and Jullien being over there, it's just daft, of course. And then you've got this whole situation with Duffy, like, Gavin Strachan came out and said Duffy can't be used because he left the Celtic bubble and then he's in the team. So what is happening there? What's the explanation? I'm honestly lost at this point with what's happening at the club, and I think it's quite right to come out and question what's happening. Families living in fear over facing Celtic. Ross reveals agony of stars after SPFL forced Hibs to play. Of course, Hibs tried towards the start of the fixture to get the game called off. And fear of perhaps facing a Celtic side that are with the virus. Like, we tested negative. Hibs have been in the same situation before. They played St Mirren. I think that all the protocols have been taken to make sure everybody was safe. The players that were used by Celtic were negative tests. Look, I can understand the animosity towards playing the game, and I think Jack Ross is quite right to kind of voice those opinions and voice his concerns. But I don't think there would have been much to worry about. Like, they've been through worse. Like, they had to play St Mirren in the same situation, and there was no complaints then from Jack Ross. So, but look, it's all over and done with now, and Hibs got what they deserved last night in terms of a point. In fact, you could say they deserved a win. Hibs played incredibly well. And of course we can say Celtic played a weakened side, and you might like to look at the positive side, but we had a team that was good enough to beat Hibs, but they took the game to us and they got what they deserved in the end. And once again, Celtic showing the same mistakes, and I think that's 13 goals we have now conceded in the Premiership this season from set pieces. It's shambolic. After 2 or 3 on the training ground, we should have that sorted. We should be working on that. Set piece training, set piece defending should be on the mind of everyone, and it should be the first thing we're working on the training ground. But no, we went on to concede 13 goals from set pieces this season. It's absolutely scandalous, and I don't know how we're getting away with it. A very well deserved point. Finally on the Daily Record, because I've not even moved on to the second paper, we're 10 minutes in. SFA set to probe Celt's Dubai picks, and this could get the game stopped. SFA Chief Maxwell is battling to balance demands of clubs and government as crisis bites. Of course, this has not helped the game at all, and it could see the game postponed because of silly situations like this. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Finally, the Daily Express will talk about that jack and jab at SPFL. Jack Ross said his Hibs players' families feared for their safety after the SPFL ordered them to play COVID hit Celtic last night or face a points deduction. It's just, spoke about basically all of it in that last sort of segment with the Daily Record there. But it's just a complete mind fart with everything and everybody involved. And you could say that is down to how Celtic have handled things. Apart from that, it's the same sort of stories and Express, of course. They won't go the distance. Talking about Rangers kind of running away with the league title. Celtic, the title races, Celtic can't go the distance now. It looks as though Rangers will go on to win the league title. Of course, a lot of talk about Rangers' performance against Aberdeen, and the changes in what we've seen this season, the kind of same stuff we've seen all season. And then Charlie Nicholas with an article today, once again, the man Charlie Nicholas, who, yes, we don't really have a fond opinion of with some of the things he comes out with. But he has an article in here today talking about Celtic and saying that the heads must roll at Parkhead, giving his opinion on what's happened with Peter Law and the decisions and everything else. Quite a good article, to be fair to him. That about does it. If you want to look at the cricket as well, make sure to pick up the Express and you can go see that. But look, that's basically all the stories in the paper today. Scott Wright to Rangers, Celtic. It's just a mess. As I said, we are just creating headlines week in, week out at the minute, and it's just a disaster of a season. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.